I never met the greatest physicist who ever lived. He died 39 years before I was born. They called him Dafty. They beat him. They said he was slow. He died at 48 of the same disease as his mother, nearly the same age, without ever knowing that everything he predicted would come true. Not Einstein, not Newton, James Clerk Maxwell. Einstein kept only 3 photographs on his study wall. Not his friends, not his colleagues. 3 dead men, Newton, Faraday, and Maxwell. Einstein called Maxwell's work the most profound change in physics since Newton. And yet you've probably never heard of him. That's what I want to fix. Here is what haunts me about Maxwell. He discovered that light is made of electricity and magnetism, dancing together through empty space. He predicted radio waves, X-rays, microwaves, decades before anyone detected them. But he could not prove his invisible waves existed. Nobody could. Not until 8 years after his death. Imagine that. Imagine discovering the secret of light itself and dying before anyone believes you. That is the story I want to tell you. When Maxwell was 3 years old, he would not stop asking questions. He would say, "Show me how it does. How does it work?" That was his question about everything. Doors, locks, the way water flowed through pipes. His father wrote letters about it. The boy was obsessed with understanding. He was curious. But when Maxwell was 8, his mother died. Abdominal cancer. She was 47 years old. Remember that number? 47. It will matter later. After his mother died, his father hired a tutor. This tutor was supposed to prepare Maxwell for the real world. Instead, he beat the boy. He called him slow. He called him wayward. This was James Clerk Maxwell, the man who would unify electricity, magnetism, and light. The man Einstein would call the greatest since Newton. His tutor thought he was defective. When Maxwell finally escaped to the Edinburgh Academy, things got worse. He arrived wearing homemade shoes and strange country clothes. He had a thick Galloway accent that the city boys could not understand. They gave him a nickname, Dafty. They called him Dafty because he spent his time drawing strange diagrams instead of playing with them. Because he built mechanical models while they chased each other around the yard. One classmate remembered that at school, he was at first regarded as shy and rather dull. He made no friendships. Maxwell was 10 years old, alone, misunderstood, called slow by the people who were supposed to teach him. And he would be dead before he turned 50, just like his mother. But first, he would change everything. At 13, Maxwell won the school's mathematical medal. At 14, he wrote his first scientific paper. It was about geometry, about how to draw mathematical curves using a piece of string. The paper was so sophisticated that the Royal Society of Edinburgh agreed to publish it. But Maxwell was too young to present it himself. A professor had to read it for him, 14 years old, already publishing original mathematics. The boy they called Dafty. By the time he reached university, his professors did not know what to do with him. One described his knowledge as immense for so young a man, but in a state of disorder appalling to his methodical private tutor. Maxwell knew everything, but he had taught himself, in bits and pieces, from everywhere. His mind was beautiful chaos. At 25, he became a professor. But here is what you need to understand about Maxwell. He was not chasing fame. He was not trying to become the greatest physicist who ever lived. He was still that 3-year-old boy, still asking, how does it work? And there was one question that nobody could answer. What is light? For thousands of years, humans had wondered, is it a particle? Is it a wave? What is it made of? Where does it come from? By Maxwell's time, scientists had discovered many things about electricity and magnetism. They knew that electric charges attract and repel. They knew that magnets have poles. They knew that electric currents create magnetic fields. But these were all separate discoveries, scattered puzzle pieces. Nobody saw how they fit together, and nobody connected any of it to light. This is where Maxwell saw something that nobody else could see. Think of it this way. Hold 2 magnets close together. You feel something pushing back, something invisible, something you cannot see or touch. but it is real. It is there. Maxwell asked, what if that invisible thing is everywhere? What if it fills the entire universe? He called them fields. Invisible structures of pure force, stretching through the emptiness between stars. Electric fields, magnetic fields, dancing together in ways that nobody had ever described. His colleagues were skeptical. Fields? You cannot touch a field. You cannot see a field. How can something invisible be the answer to anything? But Maxwell trusted his mathematics. He spent years translating his vision into equations. And when he was done, he had 4 equations. Just 4. He would die without knowing if he was right. He would never see the proof. He was building a cathedral that he would never enter. 4 equations, and they would change the world. I want you to understand what Maxwell actually did, because it is one of the most beautiful things in all of science. His 4 equations describe how electric and magnetic fields behave, how they are created by charges, and how they influence each other. But here is the magic. When Maxwell combined his equations, when he manipulated them mathematically, something unexpected appeared. Wave equations. His equations predicted that electric and magnetic fields could create each other, back and forth, in a self-sustaining dance. A changing electric field creates a magnetic field. That changing magnetic field creates an electric field. And so on, forever. These oscillating fields would move through space as a wave, an invisible wave rippling through his invisible fields. And Maxwell could calculate the speed of this wave. When he did the calculation, he got a number, about 300,000 kilometers per second. Maxwell stared at that number. He knew that number. It was the speed of light. Do you understand what just happened? For thousands of years, humans had wondered what light was, and Maxwell, by combining equations about magnets and electric charges, had answered the question. Light is electricity and magnetism, dancing together through space. The colors we see, the warmth of sunlight, the twinkling of stars, all of it is oscillating electric and magnetic fields, the same fields Maxwell had imagined filling the emptiness of space. In 1865, Maxwell wrote that this velocity is so nearly that of light that it seems we have strong reason to conclude that light itself is an electromagnetic disturbance. He had unified 3 branches of physics that everyone thought were separate: electricity, magnetism, light. They were all the same thing, but there was a problem. Nobody believed him. Maxwell's equations predicted something even stranger. If electromagnetic waves could exist at one frequency, visible light, then they could exist at any frequency, higher than violet, lower than red. He predicted an entire spectrum of invisible radiation. Today we call these radio waves, microwaves, infrared, ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays. Maxwell predicted all of them in 1865. Radio was not invented until decades later. X-rays were not discovered until 1895. But Maxwell's equations said they had to exist. This is the power of theoretical physics. When your equations are right, they tell you about things you have never seen. Right now, as you watch this, invisible waves are passing through your body. Wi-Fi signals, cell phone signals, radio waves from stations thousands of miles away. You cannot see them. You cannot feel them. But they are there, exactly as Maxwell predicted, over 150 years ago. The entire modern world runs on his discovery, but Maxwell would never know any of this. Because in 1879, he started DIing. Maxwell began to have trouble eating. He was only 46 years old. He was running the Cavendish Laboratory at Cambridge, training the next generation of physicists. But something was wrong inside him. By 1879, doctors told him the truth. Abdominal cancer, the same disease that had killed his mother. Remember, she died at 47. Maxwell was now 48. Same disease, nearly the same age. In October, a doctor told him he had 1 month to live. 1 month. Maxwell returned to Cambridge with his wife Catherine, who was also ill. By this time, he could barely walk. On November 5th, 1879, James Clerk Maxwell died. His doctor said, "No man ever met death more consciously or more calmly." Maxwell had discovered that light is electromagnetic radiation. He had predicted radio waves, X-rays, and every wireless technology we use today. He had written 4 equations that would become the foundation of modern physics. But he died without proof. His electromagnetic waves were still theoretical. Nobody had ever detected them. Nobody had proven they were real. Maxwell believed they existed. His equations demanded it, but he never saw the evidence. 8 years later, in 1887, a German physicist named Heinrich Hertz built a simple apparatus, a spark gap, 2 metal spheres, some copper wire. Hertz used this to generate electromagnetic waves and detect them across a room. He measured their speed. It matched the speed of light, exactly as Maxwell had predicted. He showed that these waves could be reflected and refracted, just like light. Maxwell was right. The invisible waves were real. When Hertz announced his discovery, someone asked about practical applications. He said it was no use. It was just an experiment that proved Maestro Maxwell was right. We just have these mysterious electromagnetic waves that we cannot see with the naked eye. But they are there, no use whatsoever. Within 10 years, Marconi was using those useless waves to send messages across the Atlantic Ocean. Within 2 decades, radio had transformed civilization. Hertz himself died young, at 36, just 7 years after his discovery. Like Maxwell, he never saw the full impact of his work. But he gave Maxwell something precious. He proved that the man they called Dafty, the boy who was beaten by his tutor and mocked by his classmates, had seen deeper into the nature of reality than anyone before him. So why do I say Maxwell was the greatest physicist who ever lived? Let me be precise. Newton gave us the laws of motion and gravity. He unified terrestrial and celestial mechanics. That was the first great unification in physics. Maxwell gave us the laws of electromagnetism. He unified electricity, magnetism, and light. That was the second great unification. Einstein gave us relativity. But here is something most people do not know. Einstein developed special relativity specifically to make sense of Maxwell's equations. Maxwell's equations were already correct. They were already relativistic. Einstein had to rebuild the rest of physics to match what Maxwell had already discovered. Einstein stood on Maxwell's shoulders. I stand on Maxwell's shoulders. Every physicist since 1865 stands on Maxwell's shoulders. And yet most people have never heard his name. He was a strange boy who was called Dafty by his classmates. He was beaten by his tutor and told he was slow. He lost his mother at 8 years old and died of the same disease at 48. He never saw his theory confirmed. He never saw the radio, the television, the cell phone. He never knew that his equations would power the modern world. But he knew his equations were beautiful, and he trusted that they were true. From a long view of the history of mankind, seen from, say, 10,000 years from now, there can be little doubt that the most significant event of the 19th century will be judged as Maxwell's discovery of the laws of electrodynamics. The American Civil War will pale into provincial insignificance in comparison with this important scientific event of the same decade. I wrote those words in my lectures at Caltech. I meant every word. Maxwell was the greatest, and he died before anyone believed him. I have spent my life surrounded by extraordinary minds. If you want to hear their stories, you know where to find me.